An early deficit, a grand comeback, and almost a massive collapse. We'll talk about everything from a wild Angel victory on tonight's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls, and welcome to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. Coming at you live, as always, after every single Angel game here on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel, and after the fact, both on the channel and wherever you get your Locked On Angels podcast feed. 7-5 the final, but that score is deceiving. An early deficit, a nice comeback, able to grow on the lead, and then almost throw it all away in a crazy game. But the Angels have won back-to-back games to open up their series against the AL West bottom-feeding A's. And we're on sweep watch, folks. The Angels, like we've talked about in recent days, have a nice, easy stretch coming up. A lot of weak opponents. Maybe that record can get a little bit closer to 500 before the All-Star break. We'll talk about all of that. We will talk about a shaky start from Tyler Anderson, certainly some scary moments with the bullpen, and a huge grand slam from Mickey Moniak. That and a lot more on today's show. But first, shout out to everybody in here. Love the comments. Love to see it as always. Jeff in here saying, happy we won this one. Hope we sweep tomorrow. Anaheim Angel adding, happy for the win. But these boys don't make it easy. Sweep. They certainly don't make it easy. Shout out to everybody in here. Shout out to everybody watching after the fact. Please leave a like on the video. Leave a comment. And let me know what you're thinking about this team as of late. One more thing, shout out to the sponsor of today's show, Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code in all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. But with all that being said, let's jump into this one because boy, what a crazy one this was. And we're going to get to the Tyler Anderson start in a second because arguably one of his more shaky outings, certainly given the season high in pitches at 109, certainly given the weak opponent, a weak opposing lineup in the A's that Tyler Anderson struggled against. We will get to that, and we'll get to the reason why the Angels were down 2-0 coming into the fourth inning. But we have to start with that fourth inning because with the deficit, we know how this team is. At least I think a very momentum-based team. When things are not going well, there's not enough star power, certainly, but not enough veteran experience and leadership to overcome deficits and challenges. Often we see the Angels either have a strong start or just roll over for 7 or 8 innings and wait till the relievers come in the 8th or 9th to finally get some hits and runs on the board. But in this one, the rare case of Angels falling behind 2-0 and then having a massive response in the fourth inning, a 5-run bottom of the fourth, thanks in large part, of course, to that Mickey Moniak grand slam. But how did it start? It started with Taylor Ward, a lead-off double, and quite the day for Taylor Ward. He had a huge home run later in this one that we didn't think was going to be as important and as necessary as it ended up being, thanks to some of the bullpen struggles. But shout out to Taylor Ward. He's certainly heating up. He's certainly had an awful June, but ending it strongly, hopefully signaling a strong July, maybe a trade at the deadline. We don't need to get into that right now, but Taylor Ward leads off the bottom of the fourth with a double. On not the strongest pitch, he got a hanging slider. He was able to rip it down the left field line for a double. Then Willie Calhoun, who had a strong performance once again, continues to, when he gets the time, when he gets the plate appearances against righties, able to get it done. So Taylor Ward doubles, Willie Calhoun singles, and then Logan O'Hoppe gets the Angels' first RBI of the game. Kind of an interesting line drive. Didn't hit it super well, hit it right up the middle, able to just get by the outstretched arm of the second baseman on a slider that was outside. And we've seen Zach Neto hit this pitch. We've seen Logan O'Hoppe hit this pitch. A slider just outside, able to reach out enough and get enough on it, line it into center field, and get the rally started with an RBI. But boy, were the Angels, our Angels, just getting started, because then Zach Neto receives a little bit of a gift, a first pitch sinker. And this is what happens when you string together multiple hits. So often I don't know why I keep saying the A's. So often the Angels rallies are a hit and hopefully a home run, or a hit and hopefully a mistake, and then hopefully a double, a lot of extra base hit reliance. But in this inning, what I loved is you got a bit of everything. You got an extra base hit to lead off the inning, but then you got back-to-back singles. And when you're able to string a couple hits together, then you frustrate the pitcher, then the pitcher is pressing, and then you get the hit by pitch on Zach Neto. And then there is a lot of pressure, which eventually leads to the Moniak grand slam. But it's just nice to, at least in this game, when the Angels fall behind, actually see some resilience, actually see a response, and it starts with the veteran leadership, Taylor Ward. Once again, we talked about it yesterday. We'll talk about it again today. If you can string together a couple games like this, where you are being the leader of the lineup, where you are getting hits in big moments. This wasn't even the biggest hit of the game for him. But look what happens when two veterans start the inning off with a double and a single. Then the young guy, Logan O'Hoppe, can finish it with a single. Then Zach Neto can get hit. And then, with the bases loaded, after a run is already in, and with so much left to be desired, bases loaded, nobody out. I don't know about you, but when Moniak comes up to the plate, I'm not thinking grand slam. Only 3 home runs this season, only 17 RBIs coming in. I'm thinking, please, just don't strike out for once. Please, just don't ground into a double play. Maybe a base hit if I'm being greedy, but at least just get me a sac fly, tie this game at 2, and then maybe there's second and third with 1 out. Maybe you get back-to-back sac flies and you take the lead. But no, for once, we can be greedy. Mickey Moniak gets all of an 0-1 hanging curveball right down the middle, not where it's supposed to be, from Spence, and boy, did Moniak get all of it. Rarely do you see a 375-foot home run where you go, oh yeah, that was fantastic, but this was a frozen rope. 107.9 exit velo, not a huge launch angle, but a nice, not huge swing. We know Moniak has struggled. We know the average is still below 200. A nice, compact swing, able to get amazing contact, 108 off the bat, and it goes deep enough and high enough for a huge grand slam. And this feels so good for Mickey Moniak. We know he had that little stretch a couple weeks ago where he had, I think, a 7 or 8 game hitting streak, and people were like, oh, is Moniak back? And people that were really looking at the box score in the games were going, not really. Sure, you have a hitting streak, but if you're going 1 for 4 every night, that's not that amazing. The average is still well below 200. But now we're starting to see Moniak at least look better. When he's making outs, they're not dreadful strikeouts. When he's not having a huge game like today, he's having 1 for 3s or getting a walk and limiting the strikeouts. And then eventually you have the big blow-up game. And anytime one swing can account for almost a fourth of your entire season's run production, that means 2 things. It means it's been a really rough start to the season, and it means that's a heck of a swing. And that is the case for Moniak. He jumped up on that swing to 4 home runs. So obviously 1 out of 4 is a fourth, and 21 RBIs, 4 of them coming on that grand slam swing. So with 1 swing, the production, huge. The jump, huge. And certainly we're not going to act like the stat line for him this season is suddenly great. It's still really, really bad. But hopefully Moniak can string some stuff together. A huge grand slam. Unfortunately, the Angels weren't able to add any more in that inning, but they did not need to, jumping up to that 5-2 lead and giving a little more support to Tyler Anderson, because it was not the strongest start from him. Once again, shout out to everybody in here. Jeff and Anaheim Angel leaving comments. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of the game. We're going to take our first quick break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. And when I, Gavin Carlson, come back, I will properly introduce myself and then talk about the rest of the Angels' offensive performance, because luckily that 5-run 4th inning was not all the Angels had in them tonight, and they needed more because of a shaky Anderson start, because of a near collapse by the bullpen. We'll get to all of that and more after our first break here. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, today's show is brought to you by Tax Network USA. You've heard me say it a couple times now. Some people don't know enough about taxes and the importance of being on top of your taxes at all times. Now, here on Locked On, whether it's me, whether it's the daily podcast guys, we and this entire network pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for your team, whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the playoffs, or right now in the heart of the season. Whatever it is, it's year-round at Locked On. And you know what else is year-round? Collection season. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. Like I said, please do not underestimate the constant concern around your taxes. Don't fall asleep and think you only need to care on tax day or the week leading up to it. You always need to be on top of it, and you need help staying on top of it. So that's why, with over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or you finally hit that parlay this season and need help correctly filing, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon, or you can check the link in the episode description below. Tax Network USA. And today's show is also brought to you by Supply House. Order supplies from the website that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Find thousands of parts from hundreds of brands in just a couple of clicks at supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com gives you 24/7 access to a huge selection of plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with fast delivery anywhere in the U.S. Need help with an order? Get industry-leading after-sales service from the friendly and knowledgeable customer support team and talk to a real person every time. And there's great news for plumbers, technicians, and contractors. Being a pro has its perks. Trade industry professionals can join their free Trade Master program for free shipping and serious discounts on every order. Over 100,000 pros have already trusted the Trade Master program to deliver results. Apply for your membership today and get a competitive edge on every order at supplyhouse.com/TM. Save money and time when you order online. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. A long ad read, but we are back here on the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live from the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. The Angels victorious 7-5 over the A's, able to open the series against the worst team in the AL West with 2 wins. This one a little more scary than yesterday for sure, thanks in part to a shaky outing from Tyler Anderson. We already talked about the huge 5-run 4th inning that was able to overcome an early deficit. And fortunately for the Angels, that was not all, because Tyler Anderson gave up another run in the 5th, part of a shaky performance from him. But not only did the Angels come back in the 6th with the run, they came back in the 7th as well with a run. And both of those runs ended up being very important, because this game ended up, we ended up giving the Angels giving up 5 runs against the A's. And certainly if the Angels fell asleep at the wheel after that huge 5-run 4th inning and just stayed put at 5 runs, it would have gotten very, very scary. But fortunately, like I said, in the bottom of the 6th, the Angels able to start another rally. Mickey Moniak, a part of his huge day, able to get a 1-out walk, able to get to second on a questionable wild pitch call, able to get to second. And then Joe Adell, who we're always going to get some questionable things from Joe Adell in every game. He had that weird play towards the end of the game where he runs into the A's second baseman. We had a bloop into right field that I would like to see Joe Adell make that diving catch. I know it was not an easy play, but not an impossible play. And you'd like to see a guy who's hitting 167 or something to be able to at least add something in the field. But hey, I'm not going to complain too much, because he did have a huge swing here on a full count in a big moment. Runner on second, 1 out. The game is still relatively, at least in my opinion, on 3-1. Swings and foul tips a slider outside of the zone, wouldn't all 4, but he makes up for it. He gets a hanging slider, kind of hanging, kind of not. He gets a slider at the knees, and he's able to rip it down the left field line to Miguel Andujar in left field, and able to score Moniak from second base. I see here on my screen that my connection is apparently not great. Let me know in the comments if there's any issues. it's really hot here in LA, and the power was out a couple days ago. The Wi-Fi is acting weird, so let me know if there's any issues, but it says it's okay now, so we will continue talking about that Jo Adell big swing, because he absolutely ripped it. On 3-2, he's able to wait on a slider, not swing early, not think it's a high and in fastball and swing ahead of it, able to wait on a 3-2 slider, right at the knees. A great swing, not too slow. We know all the issues as of late with Jo Adell. The swing looking a little long, a little slow, always trying to go for the home run because he hasn't been able to do much else. But decently compact swing, gets all of this one, 110.5 exit velo, rips it down the left field line, and scores Moniak with ease, gets to second base, and the Angels go up 6-3. You're thinking maybe they can go up 7-3 if they can score Adell. Unfortunately, Guillermo and Shanuel both ground out, and they don't add any in the sixth. But a huge swing for Jo Adell. Love to see that. And you love to see in the bottom of the seventh, Taylor Ward coming through again. He's starting to heat up. His 14th home run of the season, got all of this one as well. 108.7 exit velo on a 1-2 fastball inside. Not an awful pitch, but he turned on it. He kept it fair. He kept the hands inside. Hits it 407 down the left field line, and it's 7-3 Angels. And so huge to see Taylor Ward heating up. Like we said, maybe in 2 months he won't even be on the Angels. I don't know. We have no idea what the Angels are going to do with this roster. Please don't get fooled, front office, if the Angels do string together a 8 wins in their next 12 stretch with these weak opponents. Don't get fooled, please. Consider the future of this team, not some fake present. But the moral of the story is Taylor Ward has come up huge in multiple games now in a row, in the Dodgers series, in the A's series so far. Another 2-for-4 night tonight. He did have 2 strikeouts, but you're able to make up for it when you go 2-for-4, when you have the biggest double of the game to lead off that 4th inning rally, and then the second biggest swing of the game, arguably, in that solo home run that put the Angels up 7-5. So yes, Taylor Ward, not the player of the game because of Mickey Moniak, but 2-for-4, two runs, and RBI. The average is 245. If you can get that average to 260, get that OPS to 850, keep getting some more RBIs even on a bad team, that is certainly trade worthy, or at the very least, something you want to see from the best hitter in your lineup right now, other than Luis Rengifo. The rare 0-for-4 from Rengifo tonight with 2 strikeouts. But Nolan Shanuel, 2-for-5, getting that average up slowly at that leadoff spot. Would love to see that at 240. That would make me a lot more comfortable. Like we just said, Taylor Ward. Willie Calhoun, another great game, 2-for-3, the average at 285. Love to see that. Logan O'Hoppe, 1-for-3, had a walk. He did have a strikeout, did have that RBI, the first of the game in the 4th. Zach Neto, no hits, but also a walk, able to score a run. You're fine with that. Mickey Moniak, of course, the hero of the game with only 1 hit. In a very Moniak-esque performance, even in a big game, only 1-for-4, but no strikeout. He had a walk, and of course, the huge grand slam. Jo Adell, 1-for-3. The average is 183. Would love to see him get that over 200. Mickey Moniak is scratching at that door at 197. And then Guillermo, 0-for-4, batting 9th. That's okay. But the moral of the story is enough. The Angels did enough offensively, and they were resilient. They were resilient because not only erasing the 2-0 deficit with the 5-run 4th, but then responding to a run in the 5th by the A's with the run in the 6th, and then not taking the foot off the gas. Taylor Ward with the solo shot in the 7th, and they were threatened a little bit in the bottom of the 8th as well after that disastrous top of the 8th for the Angels bullpen. But 7 runs, we'll take that. Certainly it's the A's. Certainly it's not the best pitching staff or the best team at all overall, but 7 runs for this team is 7 runs. 9 hits is certainly solid. You didn't get much help. There weren't any errors from the A's, just 4 walks by the A's. So mainly hits, a couple big flies. We know how much the Angels have relied on the big flies for RBIs this season, but we will take it. We will not complain. One more time, shout out to everybody in here. Jeff leaving a couple more comments. He says, I don't miss the summers in Southern California. Yeah, it's been pretty crazy, pretty hot. You can maybe see on my face if you watch the show regularly. I've got a nice tan going. I was out in the sun all day. So yes, certainly very hot. Jeff also adding, I hope after Sunday is over, we are only down 9 games under 500. I know it's asking too much. Never know. I think that you're saying that if we sweep the A's and sweep the Tigers, we would be 9 games under 500. I think that's what you're saying. Probably a little too much to ask for this team, but hey, yes, very friendly schedule coming up. The next 4 opponents, all sub 500 records. Certainly a chance for the Angels to get closer to 500. The team getting healthier. Brandon Drury's supposed to be coming back soon. Miguel Sano had his first at bat coming back from injury. Rendon apparently is going to start finally running soon. We know we still have weeks or maybe even months before we get Mike Trout. We know Patrick Sandoval out for the year. But hey, it's an interesting stretch. And it doesn't really mean much for this season. But if you can string together some wins, some confidence, even sniff 500 record, that's all you can ask for. Finally, Jeff adding, they should definitely do some training and get some good prospects and build towards the future. Absolutely. And Fut Alex adding, this season will be a season for the manager to see who to keep and remove. Exactly. After the break, we're going to talk about Tyler Anderson, and I will quickly talk a little bit about this debate that's ongoing between Moniak, Pilar, and Joe Adell in the outfield, what to do with that, especially with Rendon coming back at third base and already Ron Washington talking about throwing Rengifo in the outfield. We'll talk about the outfield after we talk about Tyler Anderson and the bullpen, because it was a roller coaster game because of them. And after we talk about that and more, we'll talk about all that after our last break here. Shout out to everybody in here as I suddenly can't talk here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'll be right back. Now, finally, today's show is once again brought to you by Prize Picks. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members, but you don't need those 5 million people as evidence. Just talk to me, because I will be Prize Picks' #1 advocate. I almost every single game have a Prize Pick slip going for our Angels. I also have them for other games. And we don't have the NHL anymore. We don't have the NBA anymore. It's really just baseball, and if you're a soccer fan like me, quite an exciting time with European and North and South American soccer, the Copa America, the Euros, all that. You can play all of it on Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports, because unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. You're not competing against other people. You're just competing against numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. Yeah, that's right. You can turn $10 into $1,000. And if you're looking for promotions, Prize Picks has got you covered every week. From lowering select player stat projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hit, or getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays, Prize Picks has everything to keep you hooked and keep you excited watching sports all summer long. So, download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. One more time, that's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. We are back here live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel and after the fact, wherever you get the Locked On Angels podcast feed. I am Gavin Carlson. The Angels are victorious 7-5. I haven't even mentioned I am a credible guy, okay? 4 years as a credentialed journalist in the Los Angeles area, was writing articles, conducting interviews, hosting podcasts for the Daily Bruin, covering UCLA sports on campus and throughout the country. And now, of course, I am a part of the Locked On Network. Once again, the Angels victorious 7-5. That score a little misleading though, because sure, 7-5 is relatively close, but that does not tell you that there was a comeback, a early deficit, a comeback, and almost a collapse. We had just about everything in this Angel game, and it was largely because of a relatively shaky performance from Tyler Anderson. Ironically, this guy has been great all season, and he has not been getting the correct amount of wins, right? This win today puts him to just 7-7, despite him having a 2.63 ERA, despite this guy being one of the best off-speed pitchers in all of baseball. That changeup among one of the most effective pitches for any starter in all of Major League Baseball. But even with that, even with the 2.63 ERA, just 6-7 coming in, and ironically, one of his shakier performances, but he gets the win. Just 5 innings pitched. He had 109 pitches, his most this season, despite only going 5 innings. And he only gave up 5 hits. So you're thinking, Tyler Anderson usually doesn't walk a lot of guys, usually forces a lot of double plays because he is a great changeup pitcher. 5 hits, you're thinking, okay, probably 1 or 2 runs, especially against this A's lineup. He probably went 7 innings, but no, the 5 hits ends up being 3 earned runs because of 5 walks, and he gave up a home run. So certainly a shaky start, and it started in the 2nd inning because the Angels did not look like they were threatening at all early, and we got everything in the top of the 3rd from Tyler Anderson. We got a leadoff double from Armando Alvarez. Then we got a walk. So suddenly you've got 1st and 2nd with nobody out. Then we get the Tyler Anderson resilience, the strikeout. You go to still 1st and 2nd, now 1 out. And you're thinking, okay, Anderson's going to get a double play here, get out of this one. But JJ Bleday, I believe, I don't even know, has kind of a fluky hit. A good pitch from Tyler Anderson. He throws a 3-2 cutter down and away, right on the corner, right at the knees. Kind of the perfect location. May have been strike 3 if it's not swung at, but Bleday, however you say it, barely just reaches his bat out, bloops one to center field, and Mickey Moniak's never had a chance. Gets the RBI, puts the A's up 1-0. A great piece of fielding from Nolan Schanuel here as Moniak tries to throw the guy out at home. He's not going to get him, and Schanuel cuts off the throw home, throws to 2nd, and gets JJ out at 2nd, trying to stretch it into a double. So you see that great play from Schanuel, and okay, instead of it being, 1st and 3rd, instead of it being runner on 2nd, Bleday, 2nd and 3rd with 1 out, it's now runner on 3rd, 2 outs. And so you're like, okay, Tyler Anderson, you've got everything you need now. 2 outs. Sure, there's a runner on 3rd. Just get Andujar out and you are good to go. But he walks Andujar on 4 pitches, none of them really close. Maybe you're pitching around him. That's fine. But then you walk Brent Rooker as well. Just 5 pitches, none of them close. Ironically, the only strike wasn't even in the zone. So another rough at bat, back-to-back walks after the single. Now the bases are loaded, but still, hey, it's still Tyler Anderson. It's still 2 outs, even if the bases are loaded. He's going to get the job done, right? Yes, especially when he goes up 0-2, especially when he throws a great 0-2 changeup that's just barely fouled off by Nevin. But then no, he throws a ball, and then he throws a fastball up and in that hits Nevin and scores a run. And I'm just thinking, man, Tyler Anderson is the one guy that even with 2 outs and a runner on 3rd, even after back-to-back walks to load up the bases, he's the one guy that I'm like, okay, I'm still confident he's going to get out of it. But unfortunately, a really bad pitch on 1 and 2 hits Nevin, scores another run, and it's 2-0. And 1-0 early on is not a big deal, but 2-0 and still the bases loaded. You're thinking, uh-oh, this could go really poorly. But he's able to get the catcher out on the next pitch on a ground out, get out of the top of the 3rd. He still had one more mistake in him in the top of the 5th, giving up the solo shot to Brent Rooker, who ended up being probably the player of the game for the A's. And on a 2-2 pitch, he throws a fastball right down the middle, and Brent absolutely grooves it. 107.2 exit velo, hits it 418 feet, and suddenly the 5-2 score at this point is now 5-3, and Tyler Anderson walks the next guy. Luckily, he's able to get a ground out and a line out to get out of the 4th, and then get out of the top of the 5th, and then the Angels end up going to Hunter Strickland in the 6th. But when it's all said and done, 5 innings, just 5 innings, 5 hits, 5 walks, and a hit by pitch. He hit in a run. So a very shaky outing from Tyler Anderson, but ironically, that's the one he gets the win on the record to move to 7-7. Hunter Strickland looked really good in the top of the 6th. He goes 1, 2, 3. Then the top of the 7th, they take him out. They put in Luis Garcia. I don't know why. Still a relatively good inning for him. Gives up just 1 single. Other than that, able to get the job done. And then in the 8th, we have a disastrous inning because Jose Marte comes in, and I think this is Ron Washington getting a little greedy here. I know it's 7-3. I know it's the A's, but still would like to see a more established arm come in here than Marte when these games are important to us. We want to win, at least against a team like the A's. We want to win. And you bring in Marte, who's been and he certainly was It starts off with an error by Rengifo, certainly not the pitcher's fault. But then back-to-back singles from Geloff, I don't even know, and Alvarez. The Alvarez one, very fluky. A blooper into right field. Not a great pitch, but not a great swing either. And this is the one where I thought Jo Adell could have made a play. He kind of looked a little bit awkward running after the bloop, had a pretty awkward dive. And hey, if you're going to hit sub 170 Jo Adell and be at this point still just a bona fide athlete who can't really handle the bat that well, can't really make smart decisions very often, please at least maybe be a B+, A- level fielder. And I think a B+, A- level fielder makes this catch. It's a tough catch, but I think, an elite fielder makes it. Jo Adell, not an elite fielder right now, and he does not make the play. So it gets by him. Guillerme does an okay job running after it, but now it's 7-4. And then there's more to happen because then Lawrence Bettler pitch hits, gets a sac fly, and suddenly it's 7-5. And then it gets even more crazy. Ben Joyce comes in, immediately throws a horrible pickoff attempt so it gets the throwing error, then immediately walks Daz Cameron, and we're thinking, oh man, disaster in the making. 2 runs already, horrible outing from Marte, not a great play from Adell, and now Ben Joyce is looking like we're getting a crazy Ben Joyce outing, but thank goodness. Runner on first and third, the tying run on first base, just 1 out, and then the huge sinker, which is becoming a huge pitch for Ben Joyce. You got to throw something other than a four-seam fastball right down the middle, and a sinker on 2-1 gets a double play to get out of the 8th, and thank goodness. In the 9th, it was easy. Carlos Estevez almost tied an Angels record. It would have been 27 straight batters retired by Estevez. He came into this one with 24 straight batters retired. In his last 8 appearances, he had 7 saves in 7 opportunities and a win. So he was perfect. 24 straight outs, 7 for 7 on saves, and a win. And he goes to 8 for 8, in his last 8 save attempts. With that win, it's still been a stellar 9-game stretch for Carlos Estevez, but fell just short of that 27 consecutive out streak with a 2-out single from Soderstrom. But he was solid. Certainly probably the best reliever of the game for the Angels. He's been the best reliever in recent games, in recent weeks. And thank goodness, despite the huge roller coaster in that 8th inning with Marte and Ben Joyce and throwing errors and walks and a huge double play, the Angels survived the 8th, just giving up 2 runs and then do enough in the 9th. So Angels 7, A's 5. Going to quickly read some comments and then get out of here on this late Tuesday night. Fut Alex said, what do you do with Sano and Rendon with them coming back? Sano, I don't think is, enough of a name and player at this point to shake things up. I think what he did tonight is what you're going to see from him. The same way it's been Willie Calhoun platooning with Pilar at the DH spot at times. I think Sano becomes a guy that's in consideration to play against lefties, but the Angels should not be starting Miguel Sano. They should not be benching any young guys for Miguel Sano. They should not be benching Rengifo or, really anybody for Sano. Maybe you can move Rengifo to second, play Sano at third a couple times, but then you've got Drury coming back, right? And then, like you said, Fud Alex, you got Rendon coming back. And I don't think you need me to tell you how I feel about Rendon. I feel about him the same way everybody feels about him. I don't want to see him ever play for the Angels, to be honest. But I think Rendon's going to play third. I think Drury is going to play second. And I think Rengifo is going to be thrown out into the outfield, which makes things really interesting. Because then it's Moniak, then it's Pilar, and it's Adell all fighting. And I think if Ward is in and Rengifo's in, the last outfield spot, in my opinion, should go to Pilar, but I think it'll be a platoon of Moniak and Adell with Pilar platooning for Calhoun at the DH spot. That's my prediction. Pilar goes to strictly a platoon with Calhoun at the DH spot, and then we get a platoon in the outfield between Moniak and Adell with Rengifo and Ward, the other outfielders, Drury at second, Rendon at third. That's my prediction. Not a horrible lineup, to be honest. Just quickly going around the diamond, O'Hoppe at catcher, Shanuel at first, Drury at second, Neto at short, Rendon at third, Rengifo, Ward, and that platoon of Moniak and Adell in the outfield, and then Calhoun, Pilar, and maybe Sano platooning at DH. I think that's what we will see. A couple more comments here. Jeff saying they should get rid of Rendon. Certainly. Fun Alex saying he's not going to leave with all that money. Of course. But yeah, that's my take. That's what I think the lineup would look like if everyone were to come back. Rendon, Drury, Sano, not to mention Trout eventually, but certainly a long ways before that. In the meantime, Drury's probably going to start tomorrow, I think. There's rumors he was going to come back today. I think Drury comes back probably tomorrow. I think he gets inserted in the lineup. I think we see Moniak certainly earned the start tomorrow. I think Adele probably plays. Maybe we get Taylor Ward at DH. Maybe Rengifo moves. I think Guillerme's out of the lineup now, already being signaled that way with him at batting ninth and with Drury coming back. But with all that being said, the Angels have an opportunity to make it 3 straight against the A's, get the sweep with the Tigers coming to town next. Certainly an opportunity with guys coming back and with a weak competition schedule-wise coming up. Certainly an opportunity to, at the very least, string together some wins, get that record closer to 500 before the All-Star break, and then with everybody back, with the record hopefully closer to 500, and with the trade deadline approaching, it will get really interesting to see what our Angels do. But with all that being said, shout out to everybody in here, and shout out to the Angels for holding on with a 7-5 win against the A's. I will be back tomorrow, a day game tomorrow. I believe it's a 107, 105, something like that, first pitch. So a weird Wednesday matinee game. Luckily, it's the summer. Luckily, I'm a college graduate now, so no school for me. I will be here, and hopefully you will be here with me, hopefully after an Angels win. So with all that being said, I am Gavin Carlson. This was the Locked On Angels Postcast, and the Angels are victorious 7-5. Let's have another victory postcast tomorrow after the game. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Take care. Have a great night, and I will catch you after a win tomorrow.